Good morning, Veritas All-Stars. It is April 1st, 2020. Happy April and happy April Fool's Day. I'm glad I'm not in school having you guys try to prank me all day. But I actually wish I was at school. So I miss you guys. Hope you guys are doing good. Work hard on this. This is the one we did from yesterday. We're going to go over these right now. If the video runs out of time, these are the two. This is one problem with part A and B that I would like you to solve for today, and we will go over these ones tomorrow in the video. All right, so I'll put that away for now. Get out this one here. Get yourself some blank paper and feel free to pause this video whenever you get stuck or behind. Okay, so we're doing 3/8 divided by 2/3. I want to review how to do this before we get into a complicated word problem. Okay, so we're doing 3/8 divided by 2/3. Just check I have the right numbers. 3/8, 2/3, 3/8, 2/3. Okay, so we learned in one of the earlier videos, the All-Star videos, that you can't really divide a fraction by another fraction. What we're going to have to do is multiply by this fraction's reciprocal, or another way to say that is its inverse. Okay? So what we're going to do, let's just kind of review. When we multiply times 1/10, it is the same thing as dividing by 10. And 10 wholes can be written as 10 over 1. So dividing by 10 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/10. So if you change division to multiplication, you can just flip this. The 10 becomes the denominator and the 1 becomes the numerator. You just flip it over like this, and multiplication times 1/10 is the same thing as dividing by 10. So you can take this division and you can literally turn it to multiplication and flip these two. So instead of 10 over 1, you have 1 over 10. And then you're really doing the same thing. So instead of dividing by this, we're going to multiply by this's reciprocal or its inverse. We're going to flip those over. So we're going to keep 3/8 the same. The only one you're going to change is the one you're dividing by, because just like we talked about here, you're changing division to multiplication. You're going to just flip this divisor is the number that you're dividing by. Okay? So we're going to multiply by 3/2. Dividing by 2/3, multiplying by 3/2 are exactly the same thing. So we can do this, and it'll make our math a bit easier. Okay, so when multiplying fractions, you just multiply the numerators. 3 times 3 is 9. Then you multiply the denominators. 8 times 2 is 16. So I'm just going to move it down here where we have some more space. 9/16. Let's see if we can simplify that. Can we simplify? Can we divide 9 and 16 both by the same number? I know 3 gets to 9, but it doesn't get to 16. I know 4 gets to 16 and 8 gets to 16, but neither of those get to 9. So that is the answer to this problem. So 3/8 divided by 2/3 is 9/16. Okay? You had to flip the second one, change it to multiplication, and flip this. Then you just multiply across, and that is our answer. Okay, so that's just a quick review of how to do. Sorry, my cord is in the way here. My phone died this morning doing the first video. Okay, so let's look at number 2. Here's where it's going to get a little bit harder. Okay, number 2, I got myself half a page of blank paper. It says, Mr. Spracklin bought a 34-pound bag of dog food for Charlie. He gives Charlie 1 3/4 pounds per day because he's getting a lot of exercise, right? That would be a lot of food, but that's how much I'm giving him because he's exercising a lot. How many days will the bag of dog food last until it's completely gone? Okay, so I have 34 pounds of food. I'm subtracting 1 3/4 pounds every day because he's using that much. I'm giving Charlie this much per day. So every day he's getting this. So we could do 34 and then subtract 1 3/4. That's the first day. Then subtract 1 3/4. That's the second day. Subtract 1 3/4, and we could continue doing that until we get to 0, right? That's going to take a long time. So what we're really doing here is we're taking 34 and we're dividing it by groups of 1 3/4 pounds for each day. So we're taking 34 pounds And we're actually dividing it by 1 3/4. And something tricky here, it says how many days will the bag of dog food last until it's completely gone? So that is key, because we're going to have to think about our answer when we get to the end, because it asks us how many days until it's completely gone. All right, so we're doing 34 pounds divided by 1 3/4 pounds each day to try to find out how many days that will last. Okay, so we just I reminded you that we can't really divide by a fraction, so we're going to change this to multiplication. How are you going to find the inverse of this? That's a little tricky. That's why we're doing this problem right now, all stars. So 1 3/4 is the same thing as, let's look at this model. I'm going to draw a model of 2. Here's 1, and then we'll have 3/4 of this one. So we're going to cut them both into fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are both into fourths. So 1 whole would be 4/4. The whole thing is colored in. 4/4 are colored in. And then if we have 3 more fourths, because it says 1 3/4, so there's 1 and here's 3/4. 4/4 plus 3/4, you just add the numerators because the denominators are the same, and they stay the same like that. So if you count all the fourths, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fourths. So as an improper fraction, we can take this mixed number and it's equivalent to this as an improper fraction. It is 7/4. So we are going to change this to 7/4. That way, sorry, we're still dividing by 7/4. That way we can actually take the reciprocal when we go to do our multiplication. All right, so kind of a shortcut for that I learned when I was a kid. You multiply 4 times the number of wholes, right? So 4 times 1 whole would be 4/4. And then you add these 3 more fourths, and the denominator stays 4. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, and the denominator stays as 4. Because you're basically just counting all the fourths. This whole has 4/4. So if you do 4 times 1, that's 4, plus 3 more makes those 7/4, like we talked about here. So that's a shortcut, you can do it. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. The denominator stays as fourths. Okay, so now we still have 34 divided by 7/4, and like we said, we're going to change, not the 34, we're going to change the division to multiplication, and we are going to take the inverse or the reciprocal of 4/7, and it's going, or 7/4, which is going to be 4/7. You're just flipping these two. The 7 goes to the denominator, and the 4 goes up to the numerator. Okay, so we changed division to multiplication. So we took the inverse of this, or the reciprocal of that, and now we can multiply. 34 can be written as a whole number as, well, the whole number can be written as a fraction as 34/1, and we're going to do it times 4/7. So 34 times 4, give yourself some space. 34 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16/1, so carry the 10. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13 tenths, which is 136. So 34 times 4 is 136. In our denominators, 1 times 7 is 7. Now, not quite done yet, 136/7 is a division problem. What's 136 divided by 7? So let's see, I think I need a little more space here. So we are now at 136/7. We are going to do 136 divided by 7. Okay, let me just cover this. Sorry, thanks for bearing with me. So 136 divided by 7. So we're basically making 7 groups out of 136 of something. So if we had 7 groups, we only have 100. You can't put 100 in each group because that would be 700, but we only have 100. So you can't put any hundreds into those 7 groups. But we can look at this as 13 tens because it lands in the tens place. So 7 times what? If you had 13 tens, how many of them can you put into each group? If there's 7 groups, you can only put 1 into each group. Now 1 times 7 is 7. So when we subtract, there's 6 left over. Okay, if there were 14 here, we could put it in twice, but we only have 13 10s, so you can only put 1 10 into each of those groups. Now we had 6 left, so let's see, now it's 66 1s. How many times could we, if we had 7 groups and we had 66 1s to put into them, how many could we put into each group? The answer is 9, because 9 times 7 is 63, and that's going to give us a remainder of 3, which we can write the remainder as the numerator of our fraction, and we can write the divisor as the denominator of our fraction. So the math, 136 sevenths is 19 wholes and 3 sevenths. If you gave that as an answer, good job on the math. But that is not the answer to this problem. Let's go back and check. If he had 34 pounds, I gave Charlie 1 3/4 pounds per day. How many days will the bag of dog food last until it is completely gone? Key right here, very important. Completely gone. So what our answer here is saying is that it's 19 days. And then he will still have 3/7 of a pound left over. So he's still going to have some left over. It says how many till it's completely gone. So it is more than 19 days. He's going to need to go, or it's 19 days plus 3/7 more of a day, right? So more than 19 days. So he's going to need to go the 20th day. So it's going to last more than 19 days. It's going to last 19th plus a fraction of a day. I said that a little wrong a minute ago. I said it was a fraction of a pound. It's 19 days and then a fraction of the next day. So how many days until it's completely gone? It's not just 19. It's actually the 20th day before those last bit is gone. Okay? So the answer to this problem is 20 days. All right. That's a tough problem. So give yourself some snaps if you got that right. Very challenging. Okay? What we're learning from this is when you get your answer, you need to just think about what it represents. It represents 19 3/7. So in order to be completely gone, 19 days wasn't enough. We need to have a 20th day because you're not going to spend 3/7 of a day, right? That is going to go to the next number. It's going to be the next day you also need in order to finish all of that food. He would have had a little bit left. If he only did 19 days, he still would have had a little bit of food left. So in order for it to be completely gone, he really needed 20 days. All right. Tough problem. Give this one a try for tomorrow. Okay. Be extra careful. There's parts A and B. Dry model. That is probably going to help you to solve this one. And that's it. Okay, guys? Thank you for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.